Good afternoon and happy Sunday, everybody. Every time I start to do one of these, I'm thinking, why am I doing this? Because I feel like who am I to be speaking up and saying things right now? But the sheer volume of messages that I'm getting in my inbox and my text messages and conversations that I'm having in person with people just propels me to just, this is just easier just to do a video, and the ones that are interested can watch it and the ones that aren't can just hide it or unfriend me or whatever whatever they may need to do. I'm kind of like at the point where my reputation doesn't really mean a whole lot as far as certain individuals that think those types of things. So I kind of like, I weight opinions now instead of just thinking that, okay, well, so and so thinks this, you're being crazy, so you shouldn't do that. So anyway, basically I was prompted a long time ago, and by a long time ago, it feels like this year has lasted for a decade. So when I say a long time ago, about this particular thing, I'm just really speaking about just a few months ago. But my entire life I've always been one to read and be fascinated by things that maybe a lot of other people around me didn't really care about. And so I just kind of kept a lot of things to myself. So, oh, hey, babe. My husband's watching. That's always fun. So anyway, a lot of people were upset and confused and about things that are going on right now. Oh, gosh, I don't know why I feel so nervous right now. But, oh, deep breath, Heather, deep breath. I thank you, Stacy. That Monet girl. I have never been one to get involved in government and politics a whole lot, and embarrassingly, I have been remiss in paying attention more than I should have. But it's funny how COVID changed a lot for everybody, and it's changed a ton for me, and it's changed more than I can even talk about in this video. I want to keep this the main thing right now, okay? This is why I came on here to talk to you guys. I'll talk about some of the other stuff later that I have talked about or mentioned just now. But a couple months ago, I came across an article, and sometimes I wonder how I find information that I find, and literally, if you asked me about some of the things I've found and how I've come across them, I could not even begin to describe to you how I happened to be on this person's page that shared this link that led me down this other whatever. That being said, I came across some information a couple months ago, and I shared it on Facebook then, but at the time, I think, and I'm not saying any of this is a condemnation to anybody, but people were so absorbed in COVID and COVID that so much was going on behind the scenes that even though the information was put out there, it was kind of like, oh, we can't worry about that right now because we've got other things to worry about. That's human nature, right? You have to kind of prioritize in the moment what's most important. So that's what we did, and I understand that completely. But I'm revisiting this issue, and I will post I'll post some links in when I finish the video. But I wanted to talk it through with you a little bit too. So I'm hoping this won't be long because I want people to be able to share it. I know a lot of times people are like, oh, that's too long. I'm not going to sit down and watch it, especially if they don't catch it live. So anyway, a lot of people are concerned because of the announcement yesterday from the media saying, not all media, but the majority of the media saying that we now have a new president-elect. And everybody is celebrating that as if it is fact. And I'm talking about everybody from all walks of life, every circle of life, every circle that you run in. It seems like everybody is saying, "Oh, well, now our job is to pray for the new president-elect." And and all the things, and people are celebrating, they're making speeches, there's big, and above all, one thing you can always count on from me, it's not being perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm always going to be seeking out the truth. I'm always going to look for the truth of the matter. And I'm going to keep digging until I find it. And I'm going to keep asking God to show me the truth, because I do not want to be deceived. I've been deceived in my life, and if you've ever been deceived, you know how rotten that feels, and I do not like that feeling at all. And I very much have a strong sense of justice, and you notice I'm not putting any adjective in front of that. I'm not putting any adjective in front of justice, because you know who else doesn't put an adjective in front of justice? God. So, true justice is what I'm always going to be seeking out, truth and justice, and that's what I want, even if it hurts my feelings, even if I find out things about people that I held in high esteem. I'd rather know the truth than be fooled. So, that being said, people are a little confused as to why some people are like not wanting to jump on the bandwagon of what the media is saying, and that's because the media is peddling in a lie right now, and it's not the truth. The media doesn't get to decide who the president is. They just don't. And what I'm going to share with you here, I printed it out so I could make sure I shared it correctly. But the media doesn't get to decide who the president is, and it's disturbing to me. I understand it, but it's still disturbing to me, and I won't excuse it. But the amount of American people that do not know how our government is designed to work. You have people in the news saying, and politicians saying, so-and-so this is a threat to our democracy. This is a threat to our democracy. Well, we are a democracy within a republic. We are a constitutional republic that has a democratic electoral process. So the fact that people don't even have a basic understanding is is disturbing, and it's by design. So they need you to not know how the process works, because then you don't hold them accountable to what the process actually should be. So, all that intro, sorry, that was long. I can be wordy, I know that. So if you want to send me a message and say, Heather, make your video shorter, I'm aware of it. I'm aware that I'm wordy. Can't help it. A lot to say. If you know how much I want to say and don't, you would be impressed. I would hope. Anyway, so this article that I saw back in September and shared, I think will be of interest to a lot of people now, because now we are seeing what this article says and not even predicted, told you what the plan, how this was going to go, is one of the reasons why I said Tuesday night when I came live, I said multiple times over this week, nothing this week has surprised me, as well as nothing this week has changed my mind. And it's because I knew kind of how this was going to go. You never know exactly how it's going to look when it happens, but you kind of know what the plan is. And so this article that I'm going to share with you right now, and I'll be happy to share some links about it as well, it's called The Coming Coup. And it was written by Michael Anton, and it's just spot on. So I'm just going to read some of this. I'm not going to read, I may not read the whole thing up, but let's see how far we get. I printed it out. It's about 6 pages. Actually no, not really 6, about 5 pages, on copy paper, but, it's talking about how the groundwork is being laid for a revolution right in front of our eyes. People don't realize we're, in this a lot, because we are so used to our comfortable America, how it's always been, but they don't realize we've been infiltrated by a group of people that hate our country, and this was their plan. Everything that has happened, even to the declaration yesterday by the media, even the early declaration by people like Fox News and others in the media that declared states for Biden early, like with 2% reporting, went ahead and called the state and then refused to take it back. and then also refused to call Florida and states like that that were obviously for Donald Trump. They refused to call them. And it took forever for them to call them. And everybody's like, oh, how can they be so stupid? How can they? They're not stupid, y'all. They are not stupid. We might think they're stupid and it might feel good to call them stupid. They're not stupid. They're calculating. It was all by design. And I'm going to share with you why. Everything you have seen up to this point is by design. If you feel like I'm talking about a conspiracy theory, I am talking about a conspiracy, but this is not a theory. It is fact. And it is fact because they told us they were going to do this, but nobody was paying attention. And I'll have sources, I have receipts for this. So this is not me just like, if you want me to put tinfoil, I have plenty of it. I can put a hat on. But this is not a conspiracy. And they have this published. I mentioned this when I talked on Friday about how they had a game plan for COVID back last year, and I have links for that too. It's still up. They don't take them down. They're proud of it. They had a game plan for this. So anyway, let me just read some of this to you. As if 2020 were not insane enough already, we now have Democrats and their ruling class masters openly talking about staging a coup. You might have missed it. Many of us did, with what with the riots, lockdowns, and other daily mayhem we're forced to endure in this most wretched year of my lifetime. This guy's, it's an opinion piece, okay? But he's going to give you some facts to back it up. But it's happening. It started with the military brass, and some of you may not even watch these things, and I know I never did, but I happen to see a lot of this stuff that he's mentioning. It started with the military brass quietly indicating that the troops should not follow a presidential order. They were bolstered by many former generals, including President Trump's own first Secretary of Defense, who stated openly what the brass would only hint at. That then, as nationwide riots really got rolling in early June, the sitting Secretary of Defense himself, was that Esper, I think? So many names run together, but all but publicly told the president not to invoke the Insurrection Act. His implicit message was, Mr. President, don't tell us to do that because we won't. And you know what happens after that. I mean, the president is the commander-in-chief of the military, and they're telling him we're going to directly disobey an order. All of this enthused Joe Biden, who threw subtlety to the wind. The former United States Senator and Vice President has not once, not twice, but thrice, confidently asserted that the military will escort Trump from the White House with great dispatch should the president refuse to leave. Another former vice president, Al Gore, publicly agreed. You can go back and find every one of these clips too, guys. So this is not, like I said, this is not conspiracy theory. One might dismiss such comments as the ravings of a dementia patient and a has-been who never got over his own electoral loss. But before you do, consider also this. Over the summer, a story was deliberately leaked to the press, of a meeting at which 100 Democratic grandees, anti-Trump former Republicans, and other ruling class, I don't even know how to say that word, got together on George Soros's dime to game out various outcomes of the 2020 election. One such outcome was a clear Trump win. In that eventuality, former Bill Clinton White House Chief of Staff John Podesta, playing Biden, he was playing the role of Biden in this war game situation that they did, and I have a link for that leaked article as well, refused to concede, pressured states that Trump won to send Democrats to the formal electoral college vote and trusted that the military would take care of the rest. The leaked report from the exercise darkly concluded that technocratic solutions, courts, and reliance on elites observing norms are not the answer here, promising that what would follow the November election would be a street fight, not a legal battle. So they're promising violence in the streets, not a legal battle. Two more data points among several that could be provided. Over the summer, two former Army officers, both prominent in the Democrat-aligned national security think tank world, wrote an open letter to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs in which they urged him to deploy the 82nd Airborne Division to drag President Trump from the Oval Office at precisely 12:01 p.m., January 20th, 2021. About a month later, Hillary Clinton declared publicly that Joe Biden should not concede the election under any circumstances. There's video of that too. Like I said, all of this is sourced. You can find it. It's out there. They're not hiding it. We just don't know what to look. Yes, read The Art of War. This is exactly right. The Old English major in me interprets the words any to mean no, none, nada, nient, zero, zilch, bupkis. You get the idea. This doesn't sound like the rhetoric of a political party confident it will win an upcoming election. Then it says the cover-up in plain sight. These items are, to repeat, merely a short but representative list of what Byron York recently labeled coup porn. York seems to think that this is just harmless fantasizing on the part of the ruling class and its Democratic servants. For some of them, no doubt that's true, but for all of them, I'm not so sure. In his famous exhaustive discussion of conspiracies, Machiavelli goes out of his way to emphasize the indispensability of operational security, i.e., silence, to success. The first rule of the conspiracy is you do not talk about the conspiracy. The second rule of the conspiracy is you do not talk about the conspiracy. So why are the Democrats publicly talking about the conspiracy? That's what I thought. Why would they put out something like that? Which, I learned from COVID that they put out what they were going to do then. They put it out there, and they weren't ashamed of it at all. And they were like, oh, yeah, we were just planning, just in case. Because they know that for it to succeed, it must not look like a conspiracy. They need to plant the idea in the public mind now that their unlawful, illegitimate removal of President Trump from office will somehow be his fault. Do you remember Friday when I was talking? If you didn't watch my video on Friday, you don't have to go back and watch it, but I mentioned there that in one of the press conferences when Trump was talking about COVID and things like that, one of the reporters asked him, will you commit right now to a peaceful transfer of power if you lose the election? It was so off topic from anything that they had been discussing and so out of the blue that he was like, if there's legal, if it's a legal vote, why are you asking me this type thing? That's not exactly what he said, but it was a very confusing question, confusing timing on the question. But it wasn't. It was calculated. They were asking that to lay the groundwork. They need him to look like the bad guy, right? Here in this situation, they need to lay that, need to make it look like that it's him that's doing this. They needed the violence to be because of him, and they said, just elect us and the violence will stop. Well, we'll get into that. Never mind the pesky detail that the president would refuse to leave only if he were convinced he legitimately won. Remember, Biden should not concede under any circumstance, right? But they're wanting the president to do what they themselves have said they will not do. This is classic narcissism, by the way. The second part of the plan is either to produce enough harvested ballots, lawfully or not, to tip close states, or else dispute the results in close states and insist, no matter what the tally says, that Biden won them. Y'all, this was written in September, and that's what I'm saying. This is what we're seeing now, so this is why I've not been surprised. No matter what the tally says, that Biden won them. The worst case scenario for the country, not for the ruling class, would be results in a handful of states that are so ambiguous and hotly disputed that no one can rightly say who won. Of course, that will not stop the Democrats from insisting that they won. Hasn't stopped them, right? The public preparation for that has also already begun. Streams of stories and social media posts explaining, in quotes, explaining how, while on election night it might look as if Trump won, close states will tip to Biden as all of the mail-in ballots are counted. This was written in September, remember? Okay, that's what I'm telling you. It's all planned out. The third piece is to get the vast and loud dim left propaganda machine ready for war. That leaked report exhorted Democrats to identify key influencers in the media and among local activists who can affect political perceptions and mobilize political action, who could establish pre-commitments to playing a constructive role in the event of a contested election, i.e., in blaring from every rooftop that Trump lost. Quotes, Trump lost. What are we seeing from the media right now, and from a bunch of talking heads, and even from leadership in religious organizations? Everybody is saying we should pray for him. We now have a new president-elect. They've I don't know. You can come to your own conclusions there. At this point, it's safe to assume that unless Trump wins in a blowout that can't be overcome by cheating and or denied via the ruling class's massive propaganda operation, that's exactly what every Democratic politician and media organ will shout. Stop the presses is the next section. We're almost done, y'all. What then? The Podesta assumption, this was John Podesta, is that the military will side with the Dems, which the Democrats. There are reasons to fear they might. The Obama administration spent a great deal of political capital purging the officer corps of anyone not down with the program and promoting only those who are. That is also verifiable. You can go pull up a document on the internet. You can search generals fired by Obama, and you will be shocked, especially if you haven't been paying attention to that, which I had not. You will be shocked at the amount of generals that he fired and got rid of. When Trump says he weakened the military, that's a lot of what he was talking about. Still and all, determining the outcome of an election would be the most open political interference possible from our allegedly apolitical military, and it's plausible that the brass won't want to make its quiet support of the ruling class agenda that overt. The aforementioned chairman has already stated that the military will play no role, quotes, no role in the outcome of the election. That's probably not a feint, but one wonders if it will hold given the obvious attempt to influence military thinking by people like Jeffrey Goldberg in his recent Atlantic essay. Can the Dems rely on the Secret Service to drag Trump out? I have my doubts on this one. I've seen the service up close. It really is, or strongly appears to be, apolitical. It has a job to do, protect the president, whoever that is. Officers take that job very seriously. If they don't believe Trump lost, I don't think they can be counted on to oust him. On the other hand, were they to believe he did lose and was refusing to leave, a scenario I find impossible to imagine, but the Democrats insist is just around the corner, it's possible the service might act. Barring all that, what's left? Remember that phrase from the Dem war game, street fight? In other words, a repeat of this summer, only much, much bigger. Crank the propaganda to eardrum-shattering decibels and fill the streets of every major city with protesters. Shut down the country and allow only one message to be heard: Trump must go. I.e., what's come to be known as a color revolution. Look up color revolution if you want to some interesting research. The exact same playbook the American deep state runs in other countries whose leadership they don't like and is currently running in Belarus. Oust a leader, even an elected one, through agitation and call it democracy. Democracy is in quotes. The events of the last few months may be interpreted as an attempted color revolution that failed to gain enough steam, or as a trial run for the fall. Is the Trump administration prepared? Here's one thing they could do: play their own war game scenario, so as to game out possibilities and minimize surprises. They should also be talking to people inside and outside of government whom they absolutely trust to get a clearer sense of who on the inside won't go along with the coup and who might. They also need to set up or shore up now communication channels that don't rely on the media or big tech. Once the ruling class gives word that the narrative is Trump lost, all the president's social media accounts will be suspended. The TV channels, with the likely exception of Fox News, which we now know is not true, will refuse to cover anything he says. Count on it. He's going to need a way to talk to the American people, and he has to find the means now. For the rest of us, the most important thing we can do is raise awareness. This is me raising awareness. If there is a conspiracy to remove President Trump from office, even if he wins, they're telling you about it precisely to get you ready for it, so that when it happens, you won't think it was a conspiracy. You'll blame the president. Don't be fooled. I had to flip over. That was the last line. It says, don't be fooled. He is a lecturer at Hillsdale College, too. This is Michael Anton that wrote this article. So this is me raising awareness. I can't tell you what to do. I can't tell you what to believe. I can't tell you any of that. And I'm not trying to convince anybody. You have the choice, you have a free will, and you have a brain. I am simply here sharing information. Like I said, every bit of what I just read here that was written in September, I've been researching. And I've had my eyes open. So when I see something that comes across my vision or up in my feed relating to it, I investigate it and I look it up and I vet it and make sure. It is one reason why, let me be careful saying that. I don't want to hear from people, hear me sincerely. I don't want to hear from people telling me that I'm not trusting in the Lord. You can tell me that all you want to, and you can try to make me be quiet and say that God's in control. I know that. I know that. But God also gave us brains, and he gave us discernment for a reason. And if he tells me to shut up and stop talking, I'll shut up. But until he tells me to shut up, I'm going to keep talking. No matter what anybody else thinks, no matter what anybody else says, no matter whose approval I have or disapproval, because I'm not doing it for that. I don't need anybody else's approval. I listen to, I do what he tells me to do. And so you can question my faith, you can question my devotion, you can question my commitment, you can question my priorities. I've already told you in the previous videos my why, and it's for my kids and for my family. But I'm here to tell you, this is what is going on right now. This is a soft, I call it soft because if it was a hard coup, you would know about it and I wouldn't even have to tell you about it, okay? This is a soft coup to unseat a duly elected president that they never accepted his results in 2016. You can think anything you want to about Donald Trump. I'm not here to convince you to love him, like him, vote for him, or anything else. I'm just here to tell you what's happening in the streets right now is not an accident. It is a plan. And I'm going to use a term here, and I want to make sure that you understand this is not me calling them this here, okay? I shared about BLM before, that their leadership are trained Marxist. They are well versed in the tactics of Marx, and Marx had a term for people that helped him achieve his ultimate outcome that he desired, which was socialism and control, and getting, bending people to his will. And he called those people useful idiots. Okay? Once again, that is not me calling these people idiots, okay? I'm not attacking people. I'm attacking an idea, and that idea of socialist Marxist tactics. But you are seeing right now is that. Do you notice that they are showing you all these people celebrating in the streets? And it's because the media has come out and said, our person won, this is what we wanted. He's going to have to accept it, like it or not. They are openly kicking around stuffed or what do you call them? Is it effigies when they make a something to look like Trump? They're burning it. They're tossing it around in the street. They've got signs telling him he's got to move out. I mean, literally, they think that, okay, the media says that Biden won, so now Trump has to automatically get out of the White House. So I'm not telling you what to, I'm just trying to help you maybe know what's kind of going on. I'm not asking you to go out and fight. I'm asking you to pray, absolutely pray for those that are in leadership and those who are not corrupt, that God will expose the corrupt. It's in my signal. I'm sitting right by my modem, y'all. So if my signal's going in and out, I'm sitting right by my modem with fabulous internet connection. I'm asking you to pray for those in leadership, but I'm more wanting you to prepare your mind and to not be so upset thinking that this is all random, all of this stuff that's happening, okay? Prepare yourself to know what's going on and be aware of what's going on, okay? So the people that are out celebrating right now are celebrating a lie. Okay, this is not about, I'm not being political here, but based on the way America is designed to work and elections in America are designed to work, they are celebrating a lie right now because they're saying Joe Biden is the president-elect of the United States, and he is not. If he was, and it was a certified win, that would be one thing, and I wouldn't even be on here talking to you about this, okay? I just wouldn't be. I wouldn't care, but it is a lie, and the truth matters. I say that over and over again, and you probably get tired of hearing it, but the truth matters. And so these people are celebrating a lie. They're in the streets, and they're, woohoo, Joe Biden, you know, America, finally we can heal, finally we can come together, finally we can be unified. You cannot be unified with a lie. And I see a lot of people say, oh, well, you're causing disunity by speaking up and saying things. You can't be united with somebody that's a liar, okay? And something that is a lie, an idea that is a lie. You know, light and dark don't have fellowship with one with another. So we can't, you can't attach yourself to a lie and expect, a good outcome from that, okay? So I said Marx calls these people useful idiots because let me tell you, and I'm not going to make any, I have my own personal ideas about what will happen, but if for some reason Donald Trump, it is decided after all the legal votes have been counted that he has won the election and he has won another term of presidency. Get down. Sorry, my dogs are over here with me. What do you think is going to happen? All these people that have been celebrating in the street, they're going to be angry, but they're not going to be angry that they were lied to by the media, because guess what? The media has pumped them up to think Trump's going to steal the election back. He's a sore loser. He won't accept it. He won't concede. The votes are there. Every vote was supposed to count. They're going to turn on him and on anybody who voted for him or anybody that tries to tell them, no, Donald Trump is the president. This happened in 2000. It was not the first time. I mean, it even happened in 2016 when they declared, ahead of time that Hillary Clinton was going to win by a landslide, that she had a 91% chance of being elected president, and then it didn't happen. There was riots then, but they were, smaller scaled. But we also did not have all of that year of tension leading up to with COVID and, all that. So, I mean, tensions are already high. People are already upset. People have already been locked down. People are already... we've already had riots in the street, you may not have even realized how bad they were because the media hasn't been reporting on it. But you're very curious to hear what I will think. Okay, all right. The ones of you that don't care, I will tell you what I think. Okay, because what do I have to lose? This election will be decided by the courts. Donald Trump will win. If he does not win, you can come back and call me a liar, and I'll say, you know what, you're right. I shouldn't, you're right. I was completely wrong, and whatever. And we'll deal with that when the time comes. my personal belief and conviction, based on everything I've read and everything that I've studied, is that Donald Trump will win this election. My prediction is that when all the legal votes are counted and all of the fake whatever, all the glitches, all of that's investigated, it will be determined that he actually won in a landslide. But I'm going to call them the mob just to kind of have a name, but I mean, it is a mob. You can have a good mob. I mean, they were all celebrating, they were all out, happy and celebrating the win. But when anybody now comes back and tries to tell them otherwise, what do you think is going to happen? Like he said in that article, they've kind of softened us up to say, the riots and the this and all that. They're going to, burn things down and loot and all that and all the stuff that's been happening right now. But this is going to be on a different level, because the hatred for Donald Trump that has been fomented by the media and by the Democratic Party. You heard me say the Democratic Party. If you voted for a Democrat or you call yourself a Democrat, I don't call myself a Republican. I don't call myself a Democrat or a Republican. I am not aligned with any party, because to me, there's as much corruption on one side as there is on the other. And so there are a lot of things that Donald Trump has put in his executive orders over the years. 2018, 2017 was laying the groundwork for what's to come. If you go back and look at his orders, his executive orders, you can see that. He has an executive order about foreign interference in an election and what will happen to those who were party to it. He has he has mentioned, if you listen to his press conferences, and this is why I tell people, I'm sorry this video is longer, y'all, but there's just so much to say, and I just want to I want to hopefully just bring some information to you that maybe you didn't know about and that I've just been obsessive over for a little while here now. If you listen to his press conferences and you listen to him without the media telling you what he's saying and what he's not saying, when all the riots were breaking out in Washington State and in Wisconsin and in New York City, he was telling you at the time what he would do if given the opportunity. But he does not want the federal government to get involved in the states, because that's not how our government works. A lot of these states were baiting him. They were setting him up to be called a dictator by allowing these things to continue and then saying, Donald Trump calls this. Donald Trump calls this. And why doesn't he do something about it? Well, he's the president. He's not the dictator, right? And we have states' rights. And he only went into Seattle when they were attacking the federal courthouse. That's why he could send in federal, and they kept calling them Trump's stormtroopers. And so when he did try to go in, he's wrong. When he doesn't send people in, it's his fault. But he has something called the Insurrection Act. You're going to have to research this stuff for yourself. But there's the Insurrection Act of 1871, I believe, that allows for the president to federalize certain military. But there are things that he can do. I think what the left, and I'd rather call them that than the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party of today is not the Democratic Party of my grandfather's day at all. He would be shocked right now. Like, I truly believe if my grandfather was alive, he would not recognize the Democratic Party anymore and would not vote for them. I would like to think that anyway. I may have been wrong, but the left wants a civil war. So when I said useful idiots, that Marx referred to these people that are protesting and rioting before and that are now celebrating in the streets, and now all of a sudden, our country is safe now because they got the outcome that they wanted, even though they didn't get the outcome they wanted. They've been told that. Those same useful idiots, and I'm using quotes, y'all, because I'm telling you, that's not me calling them that. This is the Marxist technique. those same people are going to turn and start rioting, looting, because they are going to feel like they have been robbed. They have had that taken away from them now, when it was never given to them anyway. It was an illusion. They have been deceived. They have been completely brainwashed into believing that this is how things are, that these are the facts, right? And they're not, but they're acting on this now. And so these same people are going to be willing to go to war on a lie. And I think that that is when Trump uses, and I'm not going to tell you exactly how he's going to do it because I don't know. I mean, I don't have special knowledge. I'm not, whatever. But just based on history and based on the tools that he has available to him that are legal, that the Constitution and our government give him the power to do as the president. He doesn't want to be a dictator. He doesn't want to be, they call him that because they want him to be that, because they want people to hate him. But I had a conversation earlier that said, you can't, when you ask people to tell me why you call him these names, they can't give you facts. So I'm not about feelings. Truth doesn't care about your feelings. Facts don't care about your feelings. The fact of the matter is he has done nothing that would make him a dictator or a Hitler or whatever. But he has, in my opinion, exercised amazing restraint with some of the things that have gone on. And then the people in these cities and these states are the ones that I really feel bad for, because, they are victim of a Ponzi scheme that has sold them a bill of goods in the form of a politician that said, we're here to look out for your best interest. And they would rather their cities and their states burn to the ground because they hate Donald Trump. Then they care more about sticking it to Trump than they do about you. If you happen to live in one of these cities, they care more about that than they care about you, they have been elected to represent. So this coup that I'm talking about, the left, they are circumventing the will of the people. Okay? This is why they pushed back on Amy Coney Barrett's appointment to the Supreme Court. And that's why they kept saying she is so qualified. You cannot question her qualifications. They do not like her because she's not an activist judge. She's a constitutionalist and an originalist. And why does that matter? Because in Ruth Bader Ginsburg, they had an activist that would circumvent what the Constitution said and infer what it meant if it was written today, what it would have meant for today. And that's what they want, is they could have passed laws for all of these decisions that Ruth Bader Ginsburg is celebrated for. The Senate and the House could have passed laws or tried to pass laws through that would award those same benefits to whoever they were trying to benefit. Abortion, same-sex marriage, all of this stuff could have been done in the legislature, but they didn't want to do it that way because they knew they couldn't do it that way, because the large majority of their constituents would never agree to it. It would be political suicide for them. So they had to circumvent the will of the people to make it the law of the land, and the way that they do that is by getting activist judges on the Supreme Court. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's why they protested Amy Coney Barrett, because they don't want somebody to follow the Constitution, because they think the Constitution is invalid. It's an ancient document. It should be done away with, along with the Electoral College, along with so much. There's so much that they want to do away with, and the reason they want to do away with it is because that is how they do it. If they don't like the way what the rules say, change the rule. Don't change your behavior. Or they want to completely dismantle the country the way it was intended to be run, the way the government was intended to operate, and they want to circumvent the will of the people because they know that they don't have a majority. They don't have a majority in this country that will agree with it and go along with it. Same way they're doing with the elections. They want to do away with the Electoral College, because then they can, if they have a popular vote, that's why they focus on that popular vote. Because In those cases, people in rural areas, go watch PragerU's video about the Electoral College and why we need it. I always thought it was crazy too, that why didn't that happen? But it makes so much sense when you think about it, that these highly populous areas that tend to be run by Democrat governors, far left governors, that's the cities that are on fire. That's the cities that were burning and looting and all, all of that stuff was going on. Those and Trump would say it and people were like, why is he so mean? He's just causing division or whatever. He's stating fact, y'all, and the truth divides. It does. It just does. And so he's calling a spade and saying, this is why this is happening here, because they are allowing it to happen, and they were doing that to bait him into getting him to act like a dictator, because once he did that, they got him. Then they could run him out of office that way, but he was smart and he didn't take the bait. Unfortunately, the innocents are the ones that get hurt in all of this, the people that own businesses in these cities, and they elected these people into office thinking they had their best interests at heart, and they didn't. That's why you see people saying, if you're fleeing from one of those places and coming to a red state, don't bring your blue ideas with you. That's why you see people saying that. They're not being ugly. They don't want their state destroyed. They don't want this to go down. They don't want their places of business destroyed. And this is what's being allowed to happen. And so when all of these people find out that, you know what, we were sold a bill of goods, are they going to be mad at the media and the press and at Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for coming out and doing this acceptance speech last night? And are they going to be mad at them? No, because they're going to be told he stole this from us. This was his. Joe Biden won. The votes are in. He won the popular vote. I've heard that 1,000 times, it seems like. He won the popular vote. He got more votes, more voter turnout. Joe Biden got more votes than Barack Obama. I'm sorry. I didn't vote for Obama. I was not an Obama fan. I did not come out and criticize Obama publicly. I prayed for Obama because he was the president of our country. But I know how popular Barack Obama was. And I'm sorry, you are kidding yourself if you think that Joe Biden got more votes than Barack Obama did in 2008. Barack Obama was going to save the world. And I know a lot of people that voted for him then because they really thought that he was the hope and change that America needed and wanted. So this has been drilled into their head that it's clear, there's no disputing it. If you go on Twitter, you see all the people, there's no disputing it. He won. He's our new president-elect. You've got people just it's so disheartening to see people just say, well, he's our new president-elect. What's going to happen now? No, he's not. You are believing a lie if you are discouraged right now thinking that. And I'm not being mean. I'm just telling you, you don't have to be sad because it's not true. It's not true, okay? So, anyway, once all that happens, the uprising starts. And if you thought what the summer and the spring was bad, they're going to be even worse. And I'm not being doom and gloom here. I'm not upset and I'm not worried. I'm trying to tell you so you can prepare. Prepare in whatever way you feel like you need to. If you feel like that it's going to be bad and he has to institute martial law, shut down the country for a few days while that was another thing I was going to say. When Trump would talk and say, if they give us the word, we'll come in and help them, but they have to ask us. They have to ask for our help. Well, if they had really wanted his help and they wanted the riots to stop, they would have stopped. But then they tried to tell you these are mostly peaceful protests. I will never forget that video. They're standing in front of a building burning. It's on fire. And they're saying it's mostly peaceful. They tell you that what you're seeing with your own eyes is not what's happening. What's really happening is what we're telling you what's happening. Same way they're doing with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. We're telling you it doesn't matter what you see with the votes and the court cases and the disputing and the fraud and the videos that are rampant on, and even social media is blocking those and saying, this is missing context. This is not true. This is not. They're telling you that you cannot trust your own eyes and your own brain and your own God-given intuition and discernment to tell the lie from the truth, okay? They're muddying the waters so you don't trust what you're seeing and hearing. If you've read 1984 or seen anything about the book 1984, that's exactly what they did. And so these people are going to be like, well, what do you mean? They don't want to know facts. They don't care that the votes are fraud. They won't care that the Supreme Court said that, because then it'll be Trump's judges said that. Of course they said that because Trump put them in office. It wouldn't be the fact that he appointed people that would follow the rule of law. It's going to be that he's the one that appointed them, so therefore they're doing his bidding. When they're not, they're following the rule of law. And if anybody with logic and presence of mind will look at it logically, take your feelings out of it, and look at the facts, you will see that, right? So at that point, he can declare state of emergency, maybe, or I'm not maybe using the words exactly right, but you get what I'm saying. He can swiftly take care of it. I believe he will. I don't believe it's going to be something that is going to be drug out over a long time, where you have to be in fear of our country burning down to the ground. Pray for God's mercy, pray for God's wisdom, God's discernment, and pray for our leadership and those that are not compromised in office. Pray for all the corruption to be exposed, because y'all, this has been going on for years, and it's got to be this way. It's got to be exposed this way, because you cannot tell people. You have to show them. You have to show them how deep the corruption goes. You have to show them the governors and the local governments and the people that work the polls. And there's a video going around, this audio of poll workers being trained on how to cheat. There's all kinds of information out there. You have to also have discernment about what to believe and what not to believe. But you have to see how deep the corruption is, because if we don't live in a country where we can have free and fair elections, we don't have a free country. We just don't. And you can live with that illusion, and you can comfort yourself with a lie, or you can be liberated with the truth. Because then once you know the truth, you now have the option of doing something about it. You can prepare. You can have a couple of weeks of food. I'm not telling you to go up and stock up and be a prepper and all that. But you can have, ammunition if you know the good old Second Amendment. You can prepare and have wisdom without being going off the deep end and being crazy. Use some, in moderation. Just kind of, keep your head on a swivel. Pay attention to your surroundings. Pay attention to what they're not telling you. And know what the Constitution says. Know what how the government is supposed to work. Seek out the truth, and then you will better be equipped to act on and do what you need to do, and to help other people. That's what I'm trying to do here. I'm not doing this to get whatever. People will say all kind of crazy things, and people will say, ascribe all kind of motives to me or whatever. I don't care. I don't care anymore about that. I'm just telling you, nothing that has happened this week has surprised me. Nothing has been random. Nothing has been, this has all been planned for. But I will tell you this, just like they said what Trump could be doing was running his own war game, I feel he's not stupid, y'all. People want to call him stupid. The man is not stupid. None of this has taken him by surprise either. Somebody said they were worried if people won't believe it. You know what? You can't worry about that, because there's a lot of people out there that refuse to believe the truth. But you know what? Consequences. There's consequences to refusing to believe the truth. And the Bible calls those kind of people a fool. I'm not calling them a fool. God calls them a fool. Book of Proverbs, read it. It tells you that I pray that prayer. I've shared this before. If you've never listened to me before, I've shared this prayer with others before, that I pray. It's up on my mirror in my bathroom. Heavenly Father, please give me wisdom. Help me to see danger coming long before it gets here. Give me the wisdom to know what to do with what I see, and give me the courage to do it. It's so funny. I've been praying that prayer for a couple of years, and I feel like me doing this video is because I'm nervous. It takes courage to do this, but that's not me. That's not any, accolades to me. That is the Lord given me the courage to do this and to share this, because I've always been like, well, my voice doesn't matter, I'm not going to say anything. If this makes a difference for any one of you or helps comfort you at all, wonderful. I'm just going to be obedient. But you can't worry about what other people believe. If they don't accept the truth, the Bible says the fool keeps going and suffers harm. And that's the way it is. But the wise, they take refuge. The prudent takes refuge, but the fool keeps going and suffers harm. And I don't want you to suffer harm, and I want you to take refuge. I don't want you to take refuge in me or President Trump or anybody else. Your refuge is in the Lord. You know, the Lord is my refuge and my strength. He is that, but He gives you a brain, and He gives you discernment to prepare. I mean, He told Noah to build an ark. He told Nehemiah to build the wall for Jerusalem. You can go all throughout Scripture. So trusting in the Lord doesn't mean you don't do anything and you sit back and you just let Him just drop it in your lap. If God tells you to do something, do it. If God exposes you to truth, act on it. You have to act on the truth that you receive, and you do that in faith that what He's told you to do, He's told you to do for a reason. And so He's told me to learn as much as I can and to take what I've learned and try to communicate it, even though I fail miserably a lot of times, communicate it to other people in hopes that it may not be for everybody. And I'm talking to younger me out there. Is when I'm looking in this phone, I'm seeing myself, but I'm looking at me younger, and I'm telling younger me what I would have wished somebody would have told me when I was younger. And so I want you to not be afraid. I don't want you to listen to the false prophets of the media, and that's what I call them. They are false prophets. They are declaring things that are not true. Yes. I'll be right there. I'm almost done. Okay. I'll be there in just a second. Sorry. Mama duties. I'm gonna get off of here, but I don't want you to be afraid. I don't want you to be scared. I don't want you to listen to the false prophets of the media. They will tell you stuff all day long. I think of the false prophets of Baal that Elijah confronted. They did everything in their power to discourage Elijah, and they ended up destroyed. But then Elijah was running from Jezebel, and sometimes you just need a snack and a nap. I love that analogy. He was so discouraged, and God told him just, rest. He fed him by the brook. You back away from it, get you a snack and a nap, back away from the media, turn it off. I've started watching Newsmax lately, and OAN are some more conservative outlets. Not that I want well-rounded. I want to know what's going on, but I don't want it through a lens of hatred for the president either, or the hatred of traditional values and conservative values. So I want you to just take what I've said. I will post links to the article that I just read, and also the article about the actual meeting that they held to war game this out, the Democratic Party. I'll post links to both of those. Yes, turn off the propaganda machine. They are absolutely, that's why, anyway, it is propaganda. Every Marxist regime that has taken over, socialist regime that has taken over a country, they had the media in their pocket to do their bidding. And that's what the media does. They are not there to keep you informed. They are there to tell you what to think and to believe and how things really are, and not to trust your eyes and your ears and what you're actually seeing take place. So I hope this was helpful. Share it if you would like. You don't have to share it, but if you would like to share it, I have no problem with you sharing it. I don't know everything. I'm learning. I'm researching. I'm questioning everything. I'm critically thinking through everything. If you have more information about anything that I've said, don't hesitate to send it to me. It does not offend me whatsoever. I'm not afraid of being corrected on my facts. I'm not afraid to share my research with you and have you look it over for yourself, question everything I say. I don't want to think for you. I have trouble thinking for myself sometimes. God gave you a brain. He gave you discernment. If you are a believer, He gave you the Holy Spirit. Ask Him to show you what is true. Pray my prayer that I pray. It's not my prayer, it's Scripture. It's from Proverbs. Heavenly Father, help me to see danger coming long before it gets here. Give me the wisdom to know what to do with what I see, and give me the courage to do it. Please. And let me tell you, He's been answering that prayer for me, and it looks so different a lot of times than what I thought it would look like. But here it is. So, if this has helped you in any way, I'm so thankful. Thank the Lord. All glory and praise to Him. If I can help you in any way, I'll do what I can. Like I said, I'm doing this video because I get so many messages and I feel like I can't type it all out. I'd rather just do this. So if you want to tag people in this video, it's public. You can do that. But pray. Take care of that. That's first priority. Pray and ask the Lord to show you. If He sends me across your path, and we connect, I'll be so grateful for that. I'm looking for like-minded people to walk through this with, and to try to make some kind of sense out of all of this. Oh, thank you for the prayers, y'all. I'm serious. This is an act of God for me to get on here and even say this. So many people that have tried to shut me up, either out of kindness, in a kind way of saying, you really need to, but, and some in unkind ways. But I just can't not say anything. So, I like to take care of people. I like to, help people make peace with what they're seeing. And peace with what they are seeing is not, the definition of that is not making you feel comfortable with a lie. The definition of me helping you make peace with that is helping you to see God in that situation, and how God is working in that situation, and how God is using people, and sometimes it's people that you would never have imagined that God would use, like President Trump, just, making peace with God is at work even when everything seems like chaos, right? I want you to see God. I don't want you to see me. I don't want you to see Donald Trump. I'm not campaigning for anybody in that regard. In this situation, the whole goal of this is to see God's hand at work and God exposing evil. And it has to be this way, y'all. It has to, or else we will not ever know the truth. I would rather be confronted with the truth than comforted with a lie. And so brace yourself and strengthen yourself on the inside. Strengthen your resolve, strengthen your walk with the Lord, strengthen your faith. If you are watching this and you don't have any idea about what I'm talking about, or you don't know what it's like to be in a relationship with Jesus Christ, I'd be happy to help you there. That would be one of the greatest thrills of my life, is to be able to tell you why I have peace. And it's not because of what I see going on in the world right now. It's because I know who's in control. And so, I guess that's all, you guys. I will keep sharing things as I come across them. Please take your eyes off of those that you would desire to say something right now. I know I've been disappointed by a lot of people in leadership, but you know what? Feel that disappointment, but then let it go, because you know what? God will send people into your life to speak those words that you need to hear, and I'm not talking about just comforting you and making you feel good. I'm talking about the words that you need to hear. The truth that you need to know. God will send truth tellers into your life to replace those that disappointed you and that didn't speak up and that didn't say in the moment what you thought needed to be said, and you felt like you weren't qualified to say it, and you needed somebody that you ascribed qualifications to them and said, oh, well, I can't say anything, but these people, they can say something because they have all the initials behind their name or the titles or the whatever. You go be that for you. And then you take what you learn and you share that with somebody else. And that's the way you're going to grow and mature. So, like I said, share this. If it helps somebody else, that's awesome. Y'all have a great Sunday. Pay attention. Go back and look at the executive orders that the president has written, and look at what he has the power to do in different situations. I'll be sharing. I almost apologize for oversharing things on Facebook because I get on a roll and finding things. But I'm not going to apologize for that anymore because, who cares? Everybody else shares what they want to. So if it can help somebody, that's the main goal. So y'all have a great Sunday. And I will come back on here if I feel like I find something I need to share. And we'll just go from there. It's all going to be fine. It's all going to work out according to God's plan and God's will. Pray also, that his will be done on earth as it is in heaven. There's a lot of things that happen in heaven that, it could happen on earth, but we don't ask him to do it. We want his will to be done here, too. His will's always done in heaven, but he gives us that free will, and sometimes we mess it up here on earth. So we want God's will to be done here on earth, and he's not finished yet. I don't think he's finished with America yet. I think we are going to see, and I'm believing for one of the greatest revivals in all of history to take place. But before that happens, all of this junk has to be exposed. All of this has to be removed. All of this sin has to be removed. The cancer, the abscess. I think of it as an abscess. It's got to be opened up, and all of the junk's got to be taken out before the healing can take place. We're in that phase right now. We're in the surgery phase right now, where all of this is going to be exposed and removed. I'm praying in faith that that's what's taking place, and I'm so excited about the future for my kids, and for myself, and for my family, and for your family. So, join me together in praying. Stay tuned. I'll keep sharing stuff. And I love you guys. I appreciate y'all.